absolutely ridiculous. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. Maybe.
So for anybody who's ever come to Taiwan, there's something that you'll really notice, and that is there are a lot of convenience stores. I mean, it really surprised me when I came here because you'd see a 7-Eleven and across the road you'd see another 7-Eleven. So there are plenty, and they're everywhere. But more interestingly is cram schools, because I've heard that there are more cram schools. I think I actually heard that there might be 1.5 cram schools for every convenience store in Taiwan. Can you believe that? I mean, like cram schools.
Taiwanese parents really care about education.
Yeah. So, I mean, and a lot of the cram schools are teaching people to speak English. And that's why I first came to Taiwan. I was teaching English. So, yeah, this is a really, really important and huge topic. And I know Abby had some things she wanted to discuss about this. So, yeah, give it to you.
Okay, you can see how Taiwanese people are just think English is really important. You can see in the cram school, lots of the subject, it must be English. And right now, even kindergarten, they have like a bilingual system because they want to let the children to learn English when they are really small.
Yeah.
Why? Because most of parents think that if they learn the English, it can help them to have a better job or have a beautiful future, or even just like get a good degree.
Sure. And apparently they're going to make English like an official language of Taiwan. They're currently trying to do this. I've read news where they said that's what they're going to try and do. I think it's the Taiwan government.
Yeah.
And because I've read that they're going to try and like hire a whole lot of foreigners to come and teach English as well. So yeah, so it is a big thing, right?
Yeah. But like you as a foreigner, would you feel like is it easy to speak English in Taiwan?
Not really. I mean, I've been here for over 14 years. And I remember when I first came, I stayed in Ximending for like about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And it was horrible, man. Like, I mean, I couldn't order food. So I was going to a lot of the restaurants and I'd make animal noises. I'd be like, "Buck, buck, 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 buck." You know, I'd make all these noises. Like, I shit you not. I'm being honest, right? Like, I really did that. Like, and I actually got a lot of free food because people thought it was so cute. They said like, they don't have to pay. So, yeah. And you know what? Even after being here for 14 years, like when I ride my scooter around, a lot of the times I see shops on the side of the road. I have no idea what they sell. Unless I've been into that shop or I know the style of shop, I have no idea what they sell. And menus, I've got no idea. I know how to order some things in Chinese that I know I like.
Yeah.
But there's a whole world of stuff in the menus that I have no clue about at all. It's really, really tough. And because it's characters in Chinese, if you don't know the character, too bad, right?
So it's hard to read.
Yeah, so it's gotten a lot better, especially if you're in Taipei now. I mean, you can often find someone who speaks English. But when I first came here, it was a struggle.
Yeah, so let me wonder, like we Taiwanese all learn English from very young, but when we encounter a foreigner, but all of a sudden we don't know how to communicate or just talking, like have a deep conversation.
Okay.
So that's interesting because I think we learn English just try to communicate with people in other countries and try to get information from from other countries, right? But right now, since we have this capability, but we don't really use it.
Sure. So I think one of the things that explains this, I used to work at a high school teaching English, and the guy who ran the program at that high school said to us that to get into university, the part of the test that's about English is only about writing and reading, not about speaking and listening.
Yeah.
And his opinion was that until the listening and the speaking become part of that test, the parents won't take English seriously. It's just this writing and reading. And actually in Taiwan, because I teach a lot, you know, like you can see that people's writing skills and listening skills are writing and reading, right?
Right,
Are
reading.
way better than the listening and the speaking.
Yeah.
And that's just it makes a lot of sense. It's because that's what will really have this tangible benefit for you to help you get into a university.
Yeah, because there's a way we test. So, when in the class, often, most of the time, like the teacher is like a one-way teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is on the blackboard and writing lots of grammar or some things. Then students are sitting there, just repeat or just do the test thing. They don't really practice the language. So I think that's one thing, like Taiwanese don't know how to really use this language. We only can do is like listening and reading. Yeah.
Sure. I think there's also another angle, which is blame and being scared to be wrong. So one thing is very noticeable for me living here, especially when I first moved here, was just that people really worry about making mistakes.
Oh, they worry about they say it wrong or they didn't pronounce it good.
Yeah.
They think, oh, I'm not good at English, so I better not to say it.
Yeah, which is different. But like when my mother comes to visit me in Taiwan, after 1 or 2 days, she's running around, ni hao, xie xie, trying to speak Chinese. I mean, it sounds horrible, but she does it because she understands, that that's her. No one's going to judge her. She's never studied Chinese. Why should it be good? So she's perfectly happy to sound silly or make mistakes. But I don't see that here. I think I see a lot of people who are able to talk. I've kind of invited them to be a guest for us. And I know their language is perfectly fine, but like, no, my English is not good. So it's like real reticence. People are very hesitant to speak because they're worried about sounding funny.
Mm-hmm.
And what I always say to people is, like, as a foreigner, as someone who speaks English, I don't need nor expect your English to be great if I talk to you, because I know it's not your first language.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for your English to be great. All I really hope is that I can have a conversation with you and we can share information.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to be the attitude that people really follow here. People really worry about being wrong and almost like blame, I suppose, sometimes.
They don't like to make a mistake and they want to be perfect. Okay. And if like someone want to improve their English skill, do you know what they are going to do?
They do language exchange, which
No,
is not very good.
most of them, what they are doing is like they will open a vocabulary book.
Yeah,
and start
vocabulary,
start to memory all the vocabulary, or they will buy the English magazines. I mean, like the Let's Talk in English.
Sure. But doesn't it make sense to you, the vocabulary thing? Because I studied Chinese when I first came here for like the first 2 years. And a lot of studying Chinese was learning words. Because as characters are really complicated to write. So you spend a lot of time learning the words, learning how to write the words. Whereas in English, once you can write the letters, you just have to learn spelling. Doesn't take that long.
Yeah.
But to learn these characters, hundreds of characters, takes a lot of time. And we also used to have these little flashcards where you'd have the character and then the meaning on the back, and you're trying to memorize all those characters.
Yeah.
So if that's the way that you learn Chinese, it's understandable that people would use the same methodology to learn English. But it's probably not the best way, right?
I think the best way is you just talk with someone, like talk with foreigner, like in English, or you just maybe just use it. I think you just use it. It's a better way. Or when you watch some video is related to your interesting, so you can get the words of the vocabulary you can use. Then you put it into your real life. I think there's I think it's more like a practical way to learn language.
Kind of, right? But see, some problems is like you talk to people about reading, and I've seen people make this mistake all the time, is that they get a book and they start reading. Oops, don't know the word. Dictionary. Keep reading. Oh, word, dictionary. Keep reading. Oh, word, dictionary. Now, who would want to read like that, right? It doesn't make any sense. You're never going to enjoy that book.
Yeah.
So my advice often to people are like, find a book that's, an adequate or like the right kind of level for what you're trying to do, and just read. And if you only understand 60%, so be it. Like, it's okay, right? You understand 60%,
it's
right?
okay.
What I say to people is because you're learning to use context. So let's say you come across a word that you don't know, don't look it up in the dictionary.
Yeah.
Keep reading, because often in that book, that word will come up again.
Mm.
And each time you see the word, you kind of feel the words that are around it,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll get kind of an understanding. Then you see it again, that understanding improves a little. Then you see it again, it gets better. And that's why if you see people in their own languages, like for us in English, often someone says, what does that word mean? And we go, I know what it means, but I can't explain it.
Yeah.
That's because you've probably never looked that word up in your life. You've just heard it so many times
So
that
you know
you've
how to-
developed this understanding of what the word means, and then it sticks. So
Yeah.
I say to people, read and just be okay with understanding 60%. Only if there's a word you really, really need, then look it up, so that it happens very, very infrequently.
Yeah.
Then it makes a lot more sense.
Just like kids, when they learn their mother language,
Mhm.
they don't really have to know about the vocabulary or the grammar. They just use it many, many times. They listen to their parents, their friends talk about the words, and
Sure.
then they learn what's the meaning for. What's the meaning?
And it sticks, right? It's
Yeah.
there for a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, like I'm learning Spanish. Why I like the Spanish class because of the teacher, the way they teach. They speak Spanish, but without tell you what the word is. But you can see their face or their body language.
Mm.
Then you have figure out what they are talking
Sure.
to. So you talk many times. Then they will tell you what the word it is.
Yeah.
So you learn how to use it at the first.
It is. There's kind of a methodology behind doing it that way.
Yeah.
But the thing there is, I think that works well for some people. Doesn't work that well for other people.
Yeah.
You also get some people who kind of are okay to not understand, and then I think you get other people who need understanding. So
Yeah.
different people are different, right? So like
right.
some people need the grammar rules to understand it, and then they ask a question to someone, and the person can tell them exactly why, and that works really, really well for them.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get other people who you say, no, just say it like this. Okay. And they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they learn better that way. They don't need kind of the rules for the grammar. So there isn't really a one size fits all to this.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
think you've got to kind of mix all these things up together.
Yeah.
But then there's also the argument of fluency in language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some people have high fluency. My fiance is a good example of this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she speaks English to me every single day.
Yeah.
So if you ask her a question in English that's not too difficult, she'll just answer straight away.
Yeah.
But her grammar is not that good,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And the way I'm helping her is trying to do it the way a native speaker would learn. So whenever she makes a mistake, I just say, this is the right way, repeat it. I don't explain the grammar or why to her most of the time. I just get her to repeat it. And it's working because over time, she's slowly making the right choices.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea there is grammar low, fluency high. And then you get other people
Yeah.
whose grammar is really good,
Mm-hmm.
right? But when they speak, the fluency, they have very few opportunities to speak. So the fluency level is low. So they have a head full of understanding of the language and how it works. But then when you ask them to speak, they freeze because
Yeah.
they're not used to speaking. So their fluency of using it, the words don't come to them quickly. Whereas for my fiance, like the words come to her much more quickly
Mm-hmm.
because of the fluency. And on top of that, if I try to fix her pronunciation,
Mm-hmm.
she can make like the r and the х and all these kind of sounds that we can make.
Right.
She's able to, I just found out, like make those sounds because she speaks so frequently.
Oh.
She can adjust. So we're often like, if I'm trying to explain to someone how to do a certain sound, I will like show them how the mouth works and where the tongue should go and all that. But for her, I just say, no, like this, and I make the sound.
Mm.
And because the fluency is high, she's able to copy that sound quite effectively most of the time.
Okay.
So the fluency versus the understanding is also a big thing. So
Mhm.
a lot of people are, like learn a lot. They study hard. But then when they speak, it just doesn't work. But then if you give them a page of questions or some reading, they do a really good job.
Yeah.
So it's complicated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if that helps you with kind of your understanding or what your question was initially, but
Yeah, but right now I just wondering like because we all think like speaking English is really important, but we still uncomfortable talking about. Most of them are uncomfortable talking about that. I think that maybe there's a barrier because we don't have to use English, but we can survive.
yeah.
Because
That's true.
Mandarin is like a top 3 language in the world.
Mhm.
And Taiwan's economy is great.
Mhm.
So we can like support ourselves. So we don't really have to learn English. So we can like get a job to earn decent money. I think maybe that's one way.
You mean one of the reasons why?
Yeah. I think it's
Mm.
one of the reason.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you don't need it, then it's kind of like me and my Chinese, right? So I did study. I used to be able to write 600 characters. Now I can just do 3, like my name.
Oh,
But
okay.
because I don't use it, and when I go to work every day, I speak English.
Yeah.
So there's no need for me to really learn it.
Mhm.
And that's also why I haven't been able to get really good at my Chinese. Is horrible. So yeah, unless you have a need. Whereas I
Yeah.
know I heard about this other guy, another foreigner in Taiwan, and when he came here, he decided to live in like a really small little place somewhere, not near like a big city.
Uh-huh.
I think he was out there by Taoyuan, but like further out. And
Oh,
where he lived,
out
like
of town?
no one spoke English at all. It was like 0 people around who ever spoke English, and
Okay.
it pushed him to speak Chinese every
Every
day,
day.
everywhere he
Mm.
went in his area, and he became fluent pretty quickly
Yeah.
because he just put himself in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
But not many people can do that, right? I don't want to go and live.
More comfortable.
Yeah, you know, I'm busy working, right? I don't have too much time for that. If I didn't have to work so much, I would probably think of something like that. But yeah,
But yeah, if there are no needs, so
yeah.
don't really need to learn
Sure.
another language.
And
But
I'm in a similar position, like you said, that people don't need English to survive. Now living
You
in
don't need
Taipei, I don't really need Chinese to survive because things have gotten better, so I can get by. So like the
Yeah,
need is
yeah.
decreasing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my Chinese is crap. So,
So yeah, because that's an example
Yeah.
because you don't have, it's not necessary. So I think learning English for Taiwanese it still have lots of benefits because you can see what those research we've been looking for is all about English
yeah.
because other countries because English is still a strong power language. Lots of people talk about it and sharing their information and ideas in English. So if you can search or reading in English,
Yeah. There's a lot more content, I think, online in English, right?
it's really different.
Yeah.
I mean, when I search Chinese in Google, probably I just can get Taiwan and China's info news. But if I search in English, I can get the USA, European, Africa, Indian,
Sure.
lots of.
Yeah, when I first found out about this, it was quite a long time ago, and I was saying to people like, it's like, why don't you just like learn about this? Why don't you just search online? And they were like, hey man, there isn't stuff online. I've searched. It's like, can't be. And then I looked into it. I thought, hey, actually they're right.
Yeah.
Like in English, we're so lucky because there's so much information. I mean, you can type any question you want into Google.
Yeah, that's like.
Well, I mean, it used to be like this.
Amazing.
These days, depends on the topic. You might need to use DuckDuckGo, but anything in general that you want to search, you'll find. It's So, yeah, that is a huge problem. And I mean, that's also kind of why we have this channel, right? We're
Yeah.
trying to share some of this news with people, and we're going to work on the Chinese subtitles to get better so people can learn. But talking about subtitles, I also advise this to people. The same way I said, like when you read, don't use the dictionary. It's the same thing for TV. If you're always using subtitles in Chinese,
Yeah.
I don't see that really working. I know so many people who say, I'm trying to practice my English, so I'm watching TV. But it never seems to have any impact. And I think partly it's because they're reading the subtitles the entire time. So if you turn the subtitles off,
You could really link to
then
your
it
listening.
forces you to really listen because otherwise you won't know. So initially it might be uncomfortable, but if you have a reasonable level of English and then you keep
Try
listening,
today.
it'll get better. Like when I was an actor before
Yeah.
and used to do Shakespeare. You've read Shakespeare? Have you?
Yeah.
Like even for us, when you read Shakespeare, you're like, hey, what the hell does this mean? Because it's old English. But so what we do is the first few days of a production, the director would get all the actors in a room and we just read the play.
Okay.
And the first day you'd be lost, and the second and the third it would get better. And after a while, you'd start to hear the language and just understand it much more quickly. And that's just because it forced you to get into that mode. And it's the same thing. I think if you're watching TV and not using subtitles, it will be hard at first, but the more you do it, the easier it will get.
That you get used to it.
But a lot of people don't want to go through that difficult point in the beginning where they stop using the subtitles. They try it for a day, like, that's crap, and then they put the subtitles back. You've got to go through that difficult point and then get through the other side, I think.
Yeah, talking about subtitle, I think Taiwanese is really like subtitle. Even when we watch Chinese TV show,
You still have
we
I always wondered about that.
we still need Chinese subtitle. Make us feel more easier.
Do you think they did that for that reason, or is it more for people who might be deaf?
Huh?
Yeah, there must be deaf people in Taiwan. So is that? Because when I came to Taiwan, I wondered. I thought, why are there Chinese subtitles when the TV's in Chinese, the language is in Chinese?
Yeah,
But I thought
right.
maybe it's for deaf people, so that they can still watch.
Okay, I have no idea. I wonder if there's because someone want to watch the news, but they don't want to turn on the audio, so they can read
Sure.
the subtitle. Maybe one
Possibly,
thing,
right?
or maybe the quality of the TV or the quality of the audio is not really good. So it's better to have the subtitle too.
And talk about subtitles. I would tell people you can't trust those things because, like, I know a reasonable amount of the Chinese characters. So often, if I watch something in English and I see how they're translating it into Chinese, the Chinese is not right. When my fiance tells me the same thing, she's like, "That's not exactly the same thing."
Yeah.
So I think people have this belief that the subtitles are correct, but they don't realize that the nuance is hard to get, and especially humor. It's very, very hard, I think, to translate the humor into the other language.
That's right.
So sometimes I watch people, like Taiwanese people, and they're watching something, and I see, like, there's laughter, and I see people look a bit confused because they see what the translation is, but I don't think that the translation helps them get the meaning of the humor. And it kind of, like when you go watch a movie, like in the movie theater,
Yeah.
and I'm like, ha, 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 and you see people like, they don't know why you're laughing. It's really funny, but there's some kind of almost like a cultural thing in there
Culture. Yeah.
that it's hard to translate the humor. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
people don't get it. Just like when I watch a talk show, it's better not to look at the subtitle. You listen to what they say. It's more like spontaneous to the humor or the emotion.
sure. So I mean, in our videos now we have subtitles, but they're terrible, right? It's the
Yes,
YouTube translated ones. But maybe
that
that's
really
a good.
correct?
Maybe it's a good thing, right?
Don't rely on subtitles.
But maybe it's a good thing because maybe, people watch it, they see the subtitles, and they'll notice when it's a bit strange. But at least they get a little bit of help, and maybe it can't be that. So they've got to listen to the English, and maybe they figure it out as they're going.
A way for them, for you guys to practice the English.
Yeah.
Really.
Just a maybe, right? Maybe because it's not perfect, it will force people to actually do a bit more real listening and trying to translate it for themselves. So maybe bad subtitles are better for learning than good subtitles.
Okay, sometimes you're giving me an excuse not to work so hard
on
on
the
subtitles. Okay, I will try my best.
Yeah, we're working on the subtitles. It's really, really difficult. I mean, everything that you see, like we're trying to upload these videos, it's basically just Abby and I. Yeah, this is you and me working on doing all of this stuff together, and we also have regular jobs. So, yeah, it's
Right.
it is on our list of things, and we're working on it. And yeah, hopefully you
But-
guys can let us know in the comments how we're doing.
Yeah, but just as we said, because we think like if we if you look at English, you can get more information, and we are eager to share this kind of information to you guys.
Yeah, big time. I think that's the main reason we're doing this, is just, to raise awareness and just help people to see a lot of these issues that you can't read about in Chinese.
Yeah,
And that people should be talking about.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
So on that
Yeah.
note, if you're enjoying what we're talking about, please give us a like, subscribe. We're
subscribe.
going to keep trying to make content. If you have any ideas for content, you can always drop us a comment in the comment section, and we'll try and have a look at it.
按赞、订阅、小铃铛。
What is that? Like, comment, subscribe in Chinese.
Yeah, right.
Sure. That's another thing. Talking about language, as you live in Taiwan long enough, you hear that. And I didn't know any of those words, but you learn to search for the context and be able to guess better.
Oh,
So like my Chinese listening is probably the best of my Chinese skills. Like I can listen to someone on the phone, and as long as I roughly know what they're talking about, I can follow that whole conversation. It forces you to do it.
Okay.
So be aware, I understand more than
I
think.
remember that one time I talked with my father, and you said, "Oh, you are speaking Taiwan local language." Oh, how do you know? Actually, I just heard the accent.
Yeah, but sometimes I can follow along really well. And someone says, "Did you understand that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they'll say, "Well, what did I say?" I said, "Well, you said this, then this, then this." And they're like, "Whoa, I have to be careful around you because now you understand." Right? So, yeah, so you'll never know. You can't say anything funny around. Because people used to do this. I used to annoy me when I first came to Taiwan. Like, people would say something in Chinese, and then I'd be like, "What are you guys talking about?" And they say, "Oh, don't worry, we're saying that you're handsome." I know these guys are
it's
making
bad.
shit. So. Yeah. Anyway, on that, hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll be back with you soon.
Yeah.
Okay, bye
See you
bye.
next time. Bye.